Okay, we're in the book of Job tonight, chapter 16. Job chapter 16. We're going to be there. We're going to be starting further on about the three friends. So let's go back and do a little bit of review tonight and get some of the big picture here. Job had three real big problems in his life. The first problem he had is that he lost his wealth. He lost all of his money, his assets, his family, right? The second thing he did that happened in his life that really was a tragedy for him is he lost his health. But the third tragedy in his life is that he's got three friends that are aggravating his tongue out. I mean, you think about it. The more we read in the book of Job, the more we go through it, you say, boy, he's lost his family, and then he lost his health and his wife has left him, and that's bad. Every day the sores. But how much anguish of mind is he in when the closest people to you are now your enemies? What you thought were friends are no longer friends. I mean, how much trouble does this man got? So he's got three things that are totally against him, right? Think of Job. Think of Job where he's at. By the way, has God spoken to Job yet? But God loves Job. Job is in a terrible condition. So let's go back and let's look and see where Job is. Job is on the ash heap. Job is scraping his boils. Job is in such anguish his friend sat for 7 days and all this trouble, right? Because of the anguish of heart that he's in, right? Why is Job on the ash heap scraping himself with all these boils? Why is he there? God put him there. Why did God put him there? Because he's a righteous man. He's a faithful man. In fact, he's the most faithful man there is. That's why he's on the ash heap. Is that a true statement or not?
Yeah, I started to say that he was testing Job, but he already knew.
Yeah, God, he already knew about it. That's right, he knew Job. Hey, I got a fellow like this. Why is Job on the ash heap? He's the most faithful there is. Yeah, why am I going through this? Because you're the one that can handle it and doesn't skate. God's got a purpose in your trouble, in your trial. Why is Job on the ash heap? He's faithful. He fears God. He shuns evil. No, that's not why he's there. Yes, it is. We know the rest of the story. Something else about this man by the name of Job. Job is sitting out there on the ash heap, right? He's there because he's a righteous man, right? And his three friends come and they see him. Oh, can you imagine 7 days looking over his friends and they don't speak to him? You know what kind of them 7 days were? Comforting. Ain't much, but it's comfort. Your brothers are there, and in your mind you're thinking, God, I know I'm bad off, boss. I sure appreciate them boys being here with me. They stuck around another night, I'll tell you, you couldn't have better friends than that. And then they open their mouths. Boom, it's all gone. It's like, no. Do you see the difference in the 7 days? And by the way, Job asked for this. Why are they so angry with him? Job is the one who started everything himself. He brought it on himself. Chapter 3, remember? Boom. He rants, he raves, he curses the day he was born, and he brings all this. He starts the ball rolling, right? Job's the one caused it. Chapter 3, remember chapter 3? We always talk about chapter 1 and 2, behind the scenes, right? I like to go back to the book of Genesis, chapter 1. The Bible said there was a water vapor that encircled the earth until Noah's time, right? And the light could penetrate, but most things were kept out. There was a barrier that was there. Job's got a barrier. He's got there's a curtain, there's an iron sheet above him. He can't get to God. His prayers won't get through. He talks to God, he talks to God, he talks to God. God don't answer. God doesn't come. He doesn't rescue him. He has said over and over, God help me, God help me. God, you slay me. But God, please help me. I might as well be dead. But I'm going to live, Lord, would you help? He goes back and forth, back and forth. He's going to all this in his mind. We got a lot of chapters left, brothers and sisters. And these three friends are just laying into him. Why? Because chapter 3, he rants and raves about his trouble. And they go after him. Now, let's get the name of the three friends in order. Who was the first one? Eliphaz the Temanite. Bildad the blank. Finally, Zophar the Shuhite. Yeah, so what was Bildad? We'll look him up, right? So we're on Eliphaz. Eliphaz begins his discourse again in chapter 15, right? Huh? Who is Eliphaz? Temanite. Bildad the Shuhite. Zophar the Naamathite. Naamathite. All right. So we got Zophar the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. So these are the three friends. We've gone through a succession. Eliphaz, Bildad, and then we got Zophar. Now they're in round 2. Eliphaz has spoken again. Now again, I promise you, here's the problem, the big picture. You done wrong, Job. You shouldn't have rant and raved like you did. You've done some sin. No, I haven't. Job, if you'll just confess it and give in, all this goes away. You've been in jail all this time. You've been in prison all this time. If you'll just, it'll go away. Is this not what his wife said? Hey, curse God and die. Curse God. Well, that's wrong. They're not asking him to curse God. They're asking him to lie on God. Now, Job has figured out so far this could only come from God, right? One last thing before we begin. I do want to point out an interesting topic here. So we know that Satan, what is Satan's ploy? What is he saying about Job that he says about every Christian who claims to be a child of God? What is Satan's accusation against you? So why did he make an accusation against Job? Yeah, well, he knew that. But why does Job serve God? Because God gives him things. God gives him things. He blesses him. God gives him something. God, you want me to serve you? Yeah, what you going to give me? Okay, I'll serve you. That's Satan's answer. He says it over and over again. The only reason they're serving you is because of what they can get. The only reason they're serving you is because they want a blessing at the church. He likes the fellowship. She loves getting together because they fellowship and have a good time, and they share one another's burdens, and they care for each other. I get such a benefit from going to God's house. I know this sets pretty deep down in our hearts. Satan is saying that we, the saints, they serve God for blessings. And God says, no, Job loves me. No, he doesn't. He just loves because you're good to him. You're a good father to him. You watch after him. You take care of him. So he does this. What blessings did he have? He's got all those kids, right? 10 children. What else did he have? He's got all the land. He's got all the money, all the finances. Richest man in the nation. So what God does is say, okay, his wife ain't going to have no more kids, so I won't bless him anymore. I'm not going to let him gain any more money. He's not going to make any more. He'll just get a cost of living raise every year. No more getting ahead of everybody. And by the way, I'm not going to let him get any more new cars, a new truck. He does more. It doesn't just stop the blessing. He takes away from Job. It's not that he stops blessing him. Well, we don't have a good time to go to church no more. You know, we don't have any dynamic preaching anymore. You know, the music ain't like it used to be anymore. We got that contemporary stuff. We used to have the good old songs. We ain't got this no more. It's not that God has taken away a little. He took away everything. all the blessings that he ever had. You got to understand, it's not that he's no longer blessing Job, he's taking from Job. In fact, he even takes his health away from him. Every blessing you can think of, he takes away. And he curses Job with the sores and boils. That's a curse. Now, yeah, God has put this on him. He's allowed Satan to touch him. By the way, if you want to see, how does God let something bad happen to people? Well, the enemy did it. The enemy did do it. But it's under the direction of God. That's the way it happens. But God has taken away the blessing and has slayed Job up to the point of death. But what was the last thing that God kept telling Satan? You can't touch his soul. You can touch everything else, but you can't touch his soul. Did you remember that? Hey, you can do anything you want to do to Job. No. He says, but save his life. You're not going to take his life from him. It belongs to me. God will take you to the point, and that says, nope, there's only so far you can go. God still had a hedge around him. God is still intervening in the life. And we know that God is there the whole time. So remember these planets. These are the floor plans, you may say. This is the answer to how Job is going through this, is that he's here because he's a righteous man. You mean the more righteous we are, the more we're going to suffer? By the way, you do know suffering gets you closer to God, makes you a better Christian. Well, I can be a good Christian without that. I like life, and Christ says, you see where I'm walking and all the trouble I'm in? Yeah, can't you do that for me? Why don't you be like Christ? You don't understand the glory that God got out of his son, Jesus. Do you know how it did for him to know that even in the midst of trouble, he still served him? Job said, though he slay me, I'll trust him, right? So let's finish up his answer as he begins to speak. So chapter 16, let's begin here. Eliphaz, the Temanite, should a wise man utter vain knowledge? Are your consolation to God with thee? Or is there any secret with thee? Why does thine heart carry away with thee? Why do your eyes wink at? Job, you're wrong. And then he says, look, people like that, you're not going to prosper. And Job says, then Job answered and said, Job 16, verse 1, I have heard many such things. Miserable comforters are ye all. You are a miserable comforter. If I had to open your mouth, we had a good time. Well, I appreciate what you did. By the way, you know, you can do a lot of good work, but you can destroy it with your words, right? I mean, I can just imagine him sitting out there for 7 days. He thought of the comfort of these men, but then it's like, no, miserable comforters are you. Shall vain words have an end? Or what emboldeneth thee that thou answerest? Why? Why are you like this to me? You know, I don't get it. I also could speak as ye do. If your soul were in my soul's stead, I could heap up words against you and shake mine head at you. If you were like me, if you was in my soul's place, I could say words against you too. Same way. By the way, you got to understand, I believe these boys are all the same. I believe all of them believe the same thing. I believe they did. He says, no, I could heap up such words against you and shake my head at you. But I would strengthen you with my mouth, and the moving of my lips should assuage your grief. In other words, I could help you. I could speak and relieve your grief, right? I could help you. But no, not you. I comfort you. I could speak like you. I could do those things, but no, I wouldn't. And then he says in verse 6, though I speak, my grief is not assuaged. Though I forbear, what am I? I'm not eased. Job says, look, if I speak, it doesn't help any. If I'm silent, it doesn't help any. I can't be quiet. But if I speak, it don't do no good. And when I'm silent, it doesn't help. It doesn't assuage anything. It's not helping at all. By the way, have you ever had trouble in your life? There are times in my life that you can try to distract yourself. Ever done that? Try to distract yourself from a pain you've got? You can do that, by the way. Have you ever said you can do that? I mean, your back hurts. You feel terrible. You get a phone call. Remember that day, Brother Reggie? Corey's been shot. Whew. Ran like the wind, didn't we? Didn't all things are shut down. Don't remember nothing. What? You don't forget all your pain, everything else. Got to go there. He was shocked. Not shot. Shocked. I just remember that. Well, yeah, remember that. But it was one of those things. It's like we're like, boom, he hit us that quick. We forgot everything. And Brother Reggie called back and said, we got it, brother. We got it. Everything's fine. We're good. But it was that you can't remember your pain. You don't remember anything. You can distract yourself. Job would say it like that. He said, if I could talk and it would help, it doesn't help. But being silent, you can't be silent. That's what he means. Is just, I could do that. You know, sometimes you could talk yourself into stuff, keep your mind off of it, you know. I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry. What? Last time you fasted? I got to do something to keep my mind off of being hungry. You know how it is. Come on now. We've all fasted and you got to keep your mind off of it. Well, Job said, I could heap up words. No, verse 6, I'm sorry. He says, though I forbear, what am I eased? I speak, grief is not assuaged, no. But now he hath made me weary. Thou hast made desolate all my company. No, you have made desolate all my. Now he has worn me out. God has worn me out. And all my family, all my company, everything's gone. God's worn me out. And thou hast filled me with wrinkles, which is a witness against me. My leanness rising up in me beareth witness to my face. He says, you have shriveled me up, and it is a witness against me. My leanness rises up against me and bears witness to my face. Yeah, Job lost weight. He's sick. Yeah, all this points. I'm a man that's depressed. He's a man who's been put down by God. He's tearing me apart. He says, even in the next verse, he says, he teareth me in his wrath. In other words, he tears me in his wrath. Now, Job understands this is God that's doing this. Now, Job doesn't understand why. And if you would try to tell Job, hey, it's because you're a righteous man. You think Job was going to believe that? No. There's got to be an answer. That can't be it. Job is not going to get that. By the way, brothers and sisters, Job had to go through this year as a lesson plan for the whole world. The book of Job is a very powerful illustration about how you view life in your own circumstances of trouble. When you think something's troublesome, you wonder, why me, God? Job has all the answers. You just don't want to believe it. It's hard to believe that God would let something bad happen to as good as, I heard somebody say that just the other week. I can't believe, why would God do that? I mean, you know, here's a brother serving the Lord. He's got a brain tumor. And the other man, he ain't going to do nothing. Here's God's man in all this trouble. He's going to die. But look at this one here, how much he's got. You see those things. And you say, well, God, why would you do that? God's got a reason, by the way, brothers and sisters. He's got a reason. He has a purpose in it. We can't see it. So what do you do at the end? What do you do? Job is the example of man at the beginning of time in Genesis. You get to Christ, what does Jesus do? He goes through it all. It says, not my will, thy will be done. I'm okay with this. Really? Yeah, I can handle it. Whatever, as long as it's your will, I'm there. Even though you're going to leave me, I'm still willing. If it's your will, I'll do it. Job is having to do this. He said, I know God's doing this. He tears me in his wrath. Who hateth me? He gnasheth me with his teeth. Mine enemy sharpeneth his eyes upon me. He's after me. They have gaped upon me. He says, they gape at me with their mouth. They have smitten me upon the cheek reproachfully. They have gathered themselves together against me. Wow. He says, look at all these. It's public. I was reading a commentary today he says, you know how it was? I'm a public spectacle. Everybody knows what's happened to me. By the way, think of it like this. What if the Romans had taken Jesus and took him inside the court and have crucified and have killed him, but didn't do it publicly? Would it still have paid the sin debt? Yeah. Why does he do it publicly? For you and I. The world needs to see. What is a man like? What is a man? This is the Son of Man hanging on the cross. What is it like for you and I? You are made a spectacle to the world, Paul the Apostle said. We are a spectacle to the world. We were talking about earlier, I have a problem with a certain company I've been dealing with. And so I told them about 2 years ago, I said, look, either you fix it, it's my last time calling you. I'm sorry, sir, but we're going to do it this time. It was the third time, 2 months later. I said, I won't call you again. And I didn't. Yeah, I got to pay money out of my pocket for 3 years, even though I know they're not going to honor any maintenance plan at all. But God revealed to me, he said, son, you know I got it. Any money you got it now, right? You're going to have some trouble in your life. We've been studying the book of, I'll tell you what, this book is very true. How do you respond to it? You're a spectacle to the world. Even people get mad with you. Hey, I can't believe you let them do you like that. I can't believe you let them do you like that. You ever had people tell you that? And then even your friends get mad with you. And that's what he says. He says, they have smitten me on the cheek reproachfully. They gather themselves against me. God delivered me to the ungodly and turned me over to the hands of the wicked. God gave me over to them. I mean, all these people are against. I'm a spectacle to the world. I was at ease, but he hath broken me asunder. I was doing fine. I was good. That word, he says, I was at ease, but he broke me. I think you're right now, but he says he shattered you, right? Yeah. I was at ease, and he shattered me. He hath also taken me by the neck and shaken me to pieces and set me up for his mark. You know? Let me let my hair go. That's what he's done to me. I'm just put in his hands. God has done this to me. He has taken me by the neck. You know, it's like you grab the board, take him to the principal's office. Yeah. And shaken me to pieces. He has shaken me. Pieces set me up for a mark. His archers compass me round about. He cleaveth my reins asunder and doth not spare. He poureth out my gall on the ground. Oh my goodness. I'm a target. He breaketh me with breach upon breach, wound upon wound. He says he runneth upon me like a warrior, a giant or a warrior. I got wound upon wound. He's like a warrior after me. And who can stop him? That's what God is. He's proclaiming that God is the fault here. The friends are no help, but I know that God has done this. And I'm going to tell you how he's done it. I'm poured out like gall on the ground. He pours out my gall on the ground. Everybody looks at me. I'm a spectacle. I'm his target. He runs at me like. He says, and by the way, the gall, of course, being the insides of a person on the ground. Look at this last one. I have sewed sackcloth upon my skin and defiled my horn in dust. You know what he's saying here? Now, listen to this vivid imagery. By the way, it's a lot of imagery. When you mourn, you put on sackcloth and ashes, right? He's saying, I just sewed it into my skin because I'm going to be there for the rest of my life. He sews the sackcloth into his skin. You ain't going to be leaving. I'm always going to be like this. I've assigned myself. I'm going to be mourning the rest of my life. He sews sackcloth into his skin. I thought that was really, that was huge. Sackcloth into your skin? Lord, is that right? Yep. Why in the world would I have to be like this, Lord? And defiled my horn. In other words, I've laid my head in dust. My face is foul. My weeping And on my eyelids is the shadow of death. My face is destroyed because I cry so much, my weeping. And in my eyelids got the shadow of death. And finally, I love how he comes back. It's like, where did this come from? Not for any injustice in my hands. Also, my prayer is pure. Not for any, there's no violence in my hands. I've done nothing wrong. And my prayer is pure. I'm telling the truth. By the way, you remember even what the friends say, there's a lot of truth in what they say. But Job is telling the truth. God has done this. And by the way, it does look like that, right? The misery that has happened to Job is that bad. My bowels are poured out. God's after me. Sackcloth sewed into my skin because it's permanent. Absolutely. That's the way he feels. Oh, it says, not that for any injustice in my hands, there's no violence, and my prayer is pure. O earth, cover not thou my blood. In other words, my prayer is pure, and when I die, don't cover my blood. Let it be seen. Let it be known that this is the truth. I want what happened to me to stand firm that it's true. He says, and let my cry have no place. He says, and let my cry have no resting place. My cry should go out for eternity, that I have told the truth. And now, behold, my witness is in heaven. You just said you wanted God to kill you. You said you have no place. You said that God's doing all this to you, but he still calls upon heaven. My witness is true. Heaven knows what I'm telling is absolute truth. Heaven. And my record is on high. The record of my life is on high. I can stand upon it. I know that I've done nothing for this, that I've done nothing worthy of this. Let the record stand. Blood don't cover up. Don't let the cries ever cease. When I'm gone, it will always be known. I told the truth. I told the truth. My friends scorn me, but mine eyes poureth out tears unto God. Hold that one might plead for a man with God, as man pleadeth for his neighbor. That somebody would just plead to God for a man like me. Just like a man pleads for his neighbor, would you plead to God for me? Is there somebody would help me? I can't get through to heaven. Would somebody cry for me? When he talks about his bloodshed, when he dies, that the blood don't cover it up. Let it be known what I stood for. You know, let it be known what I stood for. You know, the statues that stand outside of places. In Philadelphia, what do you see? What's the big statue in Philadelphia? You got Liberty Bell, but there's a statue. Look, I don't know if they got Rocky up there. I always think, was it Jefferson on the horse or Paul Revere on the horse? On the horse. Now, along your lines, what's in Chicago? Jordan, right? Statues remembering things, right? We're taking down Confederate statues. Don't want to see the Confederate flag. Why? It's offensive. Because I said the other night, so is the Andrew Jackson Highway. When Andrew Jackson signed the bill into law that all the Indians had to move out of here and be going to the other side of the Mississippi. I think I read it the other night, 1830. They couldn't catch all the Seminoles. They hid out in the Everglades, but the Cherokees had to leave. And the Trail of Tears, thousands died. Injustice? Yeah. Somebody needs to pay me back. First thing God will ask you, say, you gonna pay me? Pay me for what you done to me. Then you can ask about injustice. Everybody wants to be paid back because somebody did me wrong. What have you done wrong to somebody else? Well, that don't count. Yeah, you see, that's a childish way of looking at things. God drives us back home. Do you want it to be remembered? Job says, I just want it to be known. I want it to be erect a statue somewhere that Job told the truth. The record's in heaven. The record's pure. My prayer is true. He's crying out, when a few years are come, then shall I go the way whence I shall not return. In a few years, I'm going to go that way. I don't have long to live. I know it's not going to be long, and I'm going to be out of here. I know that. Job understands this. Eliphaz, I'm sorry. I'm right. You guys are wrong. And by the way, we're getting some really tough places here. When I was studying this, I got to think of some of the imagery here. My breath is corrupt. My spirit, breath meaning the spirit of life, my days are extinct. The graves are ready for me. And that's where I'm at. But guess what? Are there not mockers with me? Yeah. I got mockers with me right now. The two things that these two people have. Job, you've sinned, you've done wrong. You need to tell God about it and just be over with. Job, y'all need to quit doing what you're doing. I'm right. No, you're wrong. No, I'm right. No, you're wrong. And that's all it is, back and forth. Each of them taking a different angle at it. So the one goes at this angle, the other goes at this angle, and at this angle. Now they're going from the top, they're going from the bottom. They're hitting him from every angle there is. Even one said, that's why your children's dead, because of your sin, you know. And Job keeps telling him every way he can. But Job will actually bring God into the situation. He'll plead to God. He'll talk to God. Are not mockers with me, and doth mine eye continue in their provocation? My eye sees all day long. These men are by the way, I mean, you got to think about it. What's worse, anguish of mind or anguish in your physical body? It has been postulated on one occasion. What's the worst part of hell? Where the flame dieth not, the fire is never quenched. Where the worm dieth not, and the fire is never quenched. Where the man doesn't die, the fire and the judgment is never quenched. I'm tormented in these flames. What torment will there be in your mind when you knew I could have been with him? I believe you'll remember every sermon. I believe every testimony. I believe for an eternity, you'll be every person that ever witnessed. I believe there'll be a lot of analytical minds looking as to what could I have done different? And there's weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth. Brother Harris, they can't gnash their teeth for so long, they'll wear out. Not in eternity. Children of Israel went 40 years and their feet didn't swell. Clothes didn't wear out. Yeah. The mind is a place where people commit suicide. You think it's because of the pain that drives you crazy? Get a person with a broken heart. Get a man who's lost everything, and they try to kill themselves. What was the guy that recently, the guy that had all the money, the millionaire, and he hung himself in prison? Epstein. They take chances with their lives. They just do things that are crazy. The torment of mind. My mockers are with me. My sorrow. Every day I see these guys. Lay down now. Put me in surety with thee. Now, the way you look at that, he says, now put down a pledge for me with yourself. Who is he who will shake hands with me? Lay down, put me in a surety with thee. In other words, put down a pledge for me. Who is he that will strike hands with me or shake hands with me? They won't shake hands with me, for thou hast hid their heart from understanding. Therefore shalt thou not exalt them. Lord, you have hidden their hearts from understanding. They do not understand. You're not going to exalt them. They're going to be responsible for what they've done. My friends who mock me, you hid their heart from understanding, but you're not going to exalt them. He that speaketh flattery to his friends, even the eyes of the children shall fail. No, I'm not going to speak flattery to them. I'm going to tell them the truth. I've not sinned. You've sinned by the way you're acting right now. Because you're trying to tell me I've done something wrong when I haven't. He that speaketh flattery to his friends, even the eyes of his children shall fail. You don't speak flattery to your friends. You tell them the truth. They're not telling the truth, but I'm telling them the truth. Job is saying, you guys are mocking me, but I'm telling you the unadulterated truth. And if a man don't tell the truth, even the eyes of his children fail. He hath made me also a byword of the people. And aforetime I was a tabret. In other words, I'm just a byword of the people. In other words, I'm an absolute nobody now. I used to be a tabret. I'll read this other version. I'm a byword. It says, I am a byword of the people, and I become as one in the face men spit. I used to be well known. I'm just a byword now. I used to be the man on everybody's lips. What's on the lips of everybody today? Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, right? It'll be something later, right? I mean, it looked staged to me. I'm sorry. That looked staged. It was real. It looked staged. I may be wrong, but it looked staged.
If it was real, he should have decked him.
Yeah, he'd have got him. And Chris Rock wouldn't have took that so easy either. There's no way. He would have been shocked out of his mind. No, there's no way that happened. Nobody's that cool. You hear me? But it's on our minds now, and it was good for laughs. It was one of those. They always do something to build up the ratings, right? Somebody asked me that. I said, "Yeah, don't underestimate this group of people. They'll do anything to get ratings. They'll do anything to get ratings." However, he says, I used to be a byword. I was a well-known man. I'm a byword. Job, who is he? I don't remember that guy. I'm an absolute no. Now I'm the kind of man that people spit in their face. Aforetime I was as a tabret. He says, it also made me a byword of the people. Mine eye also is dim by reason of sorrow, and all my members are as a shadow. Upright men shall be astonished at this, and the innocent shall stir up himself against the hypocrite. The righteous, an innocent man stirs himself up against the hypocrite. The upright men are astonished with this, but the hypocrite, that's the way they are. But an innocent stirs up himself against hypocrites. And that's what Job has done. I've stirred myself up. I'm fighting against you hypocrites. The righteous shall also hold his own on his way. He that hath clean hands shall be stronger and stronger. Yet the righteous will hold to his way, and he who's got clean hands will be stronger and stronger. As I read through these, it's just the imagery of, I don't care. The fact that you do right makes you stronger. By the way, can you figure that one out? Can you read into that? What if God's not with you, but you act godly? Yeah, there's a power in it. Did you know for the right reason, there's some things you can do, and you'd say, I would never, man, I'm not going to give up for so-and-so, but for a good cause, you'll find yourself doing things you never thought you'd do. I got to give that up, but it's not worth it. No, that's the right thing to do. Nobody else sees it, but you do it. Where's the comfort in that? God's not with you. No, it's a godly act, and you're acting like Christ. And without God telling you, you know it's right. Job is saying that. He says, the righteous, you know you're doing the right thing. No, I can't sense God around me at all. I can't sense him anywhere, but I'm doing what's right, and I'll grow stronger and stronger. But as for you, all, do you return and come now? For I cannot find one wise man among you. I can't find a single wise man among you. Come and tell me again. I want to hear what you got to say. Ain't a one of you got anything that's smart. By the way, everything what he's saying, all you said is lies. Well, they have told a lot of truth. There is some truth. But they're not smart enough to figure this out. They can't let go of the premise that we talked about the last time, that if you do wrong, you get punished. There's no way you can be righteous and be punished. That's the whole premise. We started the night saying this. Why is Job being punished? Because he's a righteous man. That can't happen. Now, this points to the suffering servant. Is that not Christ? Did he not suffer? Was he not a man of sorrows, acquainted with griefs? And we hid our faces from him. We did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. I'm quoting from Isaiah 53. Yes, he was a man of sorrow, acquainted with grief. But for you, you're not smart enough to figure this out. You can't see it. You won't let go of your own notions. Again, this is why I say, think outside the box. When you go to the Bible, try to back off of your denomination. Back away from your preacher, what they said. Let the Lord talk to you. You can use all the things you've heard, but let God say, now, Lord, if there's something wrong here, let me see it. And you'll pick it out. I have picked out things I used to think I was right, and I was wrong. I mean, I can tell you the biggest one I ever had, I was a young man, and I was a young married man, and figured out one day, we're not equal. I mean, it just dawned on me one night. Well, I figured this out after a while. It was the first time really we had something happen where, somebody's got to get up and take a baseball bat and walk through the house and look. Well, it wasn't her, it was me. That's my job. It's like the Lord spoke to me and said, you're the head of the house. It's your responsibility for the protection of the house. You don't have the same role. You protect her. That's your job. And I remembered that because I'd always gone back to an episode of Good Times when Florida said, I don't want to walk in front of you, nor behind you. I want to walk beside you. And I remembered, and God said, that's not life. And when I read it in the Bible, and God said, that's not the way it is. You're the protector. She's going to help you, but you got to give your life for her. You get up, you go. If you get killed, that's fine. Protect her. That's your job. You're not the same. You're not equal in that regard. Well, I never thought of that. I never believed that. I thought I was right. I'm the man. Hey, here I am, a young Christian. I'm 16 years old. Yeah? How much did you pay the preacher? Well, take up a love offering every week. That's what they said, so I agree with that. Didn't know any better. I had never read the book. Read the book? Oh, that's what you're supposed to do. And I learned you got to start following what the Bible says. What's a wise man? Fear of God, keep his commandments. The fear of God, the knowledge of God. Knowledge of God is this. Fear the Lord. It's the beginning of wisdom and knowledge, right? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom and knowledge. But you guys, I can't find a wise man among you. My days are past. My purposes are broken off. Even the thoughts of my heart. No. Everything is gone. I don't have any good years left. I got nothing better to come. They changed the night into day, and the light is short because of darkness. No, I'm not looking for light in the morning. I'm not looking for nothing good. If I wait, the grave is mine house. I've made my bed in darkness. In other words, I'm just waiting on to die. If I wait, I'm just waiting on the darkness. I've consigned myself. Remember, it's the last chapter. I've sewed. I'll never forget that imagery. I've sewed sackcloth into my skin. That's permanent, right? That's just who I am. I don't remember the movie. I saw the clips of it. I never saw the movie myself. But Edward Scissorhands, when they tell me he could never get rid of the scissors off of his hands, I'm stuck with this the rest of my life. Stuck with a lot of things, but morning I'm going to die like this. What a miserable death. If I wait, the grave is mine house. I made my bed. I have said to corruption, thou art my father. To the worm, thou art my mother, my sister. You know what he's talking about? Corruption and the worm refer to the grave, brothers and sisters. When he talks about the worm taking him over, the worms are going to eat his body when they put him in the ground. The grave, the worm, the corruption, that's my father. The decaying, that's my father, that's my mother. That's where I'm headed. I know it. So where's my hope now? And where is now my hope? As for my hope, who shall see it? There's no hope for me. I'm consigned to death. They shall go down to the bars of the pit when our rest together is in the dust. I've got no hope. This is all over for me. Okay? So Eliphaz has been answered now. Eliphaz, Bildad, Zophar. Started back again. Eliphaz. Now we're headed to Bildad. But chapter 17 and 18, or 17 is a little short, and 18. But they dive, these when you read of Bildad in his discourse in chapter 18, it dives into chapter 19, but you get a prelude here. You get a prelude in chapter 17 when he talks about death. I'm going to die. He doesn't understand fully, but he's talked about what about after death, afterlife. We talked about it before. Listen to Bildad, chapter 18. Then answered Bildad the Shuhite and said, how long will it be ere you make an end of words? Mark, and afterwards we'll speak. How long, Job? You mark an end of words, mark, and afterwards we will speak. Wherefore are we counted as beasts and reputed vile in your sight? Why do you talk about us like that there? He says, Job, how long will it be you like the end of the word? Mark, in other words, and afterwards we'll speak. He said, let me put it like this. Job, how long are you going to act like that? Go get you some understanding, then we'll talk to you. You're ignorant, son. You don't know nothing. Get you some understanding, then we'll talk. You're the one that don't understand, Job. You're the one that we'll speak after that. We are counted as beasts, reputed vile in your sight. Why do you like this? You're supposed to talk to us like that. We're your friends. Why do you speak like this? He says, he teareth himself in his anger. Shall the earth be forsaken for thee? Shall the rock be removed out of his place? Yea, the light of the wicked shall be put out. The spark of his fire shall not shine. The light shall be dark in his tabernacle, and his candle shall be put out of him. He teareth himself in his anger. It's almost like he's going back. If you look at chapter 16, verse 9, he teareth me in his wrath. He's using his own words. Yeah, Job, you who tear yourself in anger, is the earth forsaken for you? Or shall the rock be removed from its place? The light of the wicked, indeed, it goes out, Job. He was talking about the light earlier. I can't remember what verse that was. But he says, the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. And verse 6, the light is dark in his house, in his tabernacle, in his tent, and his candle shall be put out with him. That's the way you are. You are not following what is correct. You know the laws of the land. You know what life is like. By the way, be careful of saying the forefathers, this way it was always done. By the way, just because you've done it a certain way all your life doesn't mean it's the right way. Anybody see the movie Driving Miss Daisy except me? Y'all seen it? First time he drives, I'm trying to drive you to the store. And what does she say? No, turn here, go this way. I always go this way, go this way. That's right there, Miss Daisy. Oh, she had done it her whole life and didn't know you could go that way. How many of us have done it that way? Well, it always works. You're right, it does work. That doesn't mean there's another way to do it. You know? You could have done it that way all the time. Boy, I tell you, wasn't it something when man learned about leverage, levers, you know? Get something good and strong and put up, boy, you can move things. What about a pulley? Boy, and a pulley, a magnificent. My first time dealing with a pulley was a come along. And boy, we hooked that thing to it. Wow. No, Daddy, we got to have that trace. We'll pull it with the truck. No, son, we can go this way. Really? I got this new thing. It'll work. Daddy could rig anything and put a pulley on it, hook it to the tree, and hey, that tried to ride out of that. My goodness. Things you can, well, we always done it this way. No, you can do it a different way. And it works just the same. It's all the same, and it works just as good. Which would have been better? By the way, for those of you back in the 1970s and 80s, America had to make a decision. What was it Sony had? The Betamax or the VHS? Two competing, right? And the VHS won, right? Then we came out with HD DVD. Blu-ray and we chose Blu-ray, didn't we? Everything followed that pattern, right? MP3, MP4, y'all went by the wayside. The tape deck had an 8-track. We had a cassette. We thought we were wonderful with that. Then we had a CD, powerful. A DVD? What's that? I saw the first DVD many years ago, back in the early 1980s. When they first came out, it was like an album, and you could put a movie and it'd be on the whole album just to play the movie. It's sort of expensive, but the technology was just very immature. There's a different way to do things. They can't get past the fact they've gone to the Piggly Wiggly this way all their lives. It can't be no other way. Job, when somebody does wrong, you're punished for it. We know that. You know that. The steps of his strength shall be straightened, and his own counsel shall cast him down. You know the man that does wrong, that's where he is. He is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walks upon his own snare. That's what you've done, Job. It's caught you. It always does this. When you do wrong, you get caught in stuff like this. When you do wrong, this is what happens to you. Job, if you'd have said, you know what, I had appendicitis, but I'm better now, the doctor operated on me. Yeah, well, things happen like that. I wouldn't say that you've sinned at all. But Job, we sat out here for 7 days. Job, we've seen this. It's overwhelming. You know you've done wrong. This isn't happenstance. We've never seen anybody get this. Who loses a family in one day? Who loses all their cattle in one day? Who loses everything? Nobody. God had to do this, and you've done wrong. They can't get away from it. They can't let that go. The jinn, by the way, these are animals. The things he talks about, he says, the snare shall take him by the heel. The robber shall prevail against him. The snare is laid for him in the ground, and a trap for him in the way. Terrors shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. His strength shall be hunger bitten, and destruction shall be ready at his side. It shall devour the strength of the skin. Even the firstborn of death shall devour his strength. I'm still speaking what Bildad is saying about the man that does wrong. His confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle, and it shall bring him to the king of terrors. The king of terrors. When I read that, that's an unusual one. Does it say king of terrors in your Bible? Yeah. It's going to take you, I think his word, your NIV says, parade you before the king of terrors. That's what happens when you do wrong. Bad things happen to you. There's no way you haven't done wrong. We've never seen anything like this. By the way, because you've never seen it, don't think it can't happen, right? I used to know the men's names. Do you remember back in the 80s when Mount St. Helens blew up? If you get a chance, go back and look at you get a 6-minute documentary on the YouTube. It's not much. But you know what was going to happen? There was going to be a big explosion, right? And they got all these people that were there. Some of them died. No, they weren't on the mountain. They were way back off from it. Ain't no way I've reached this far. It did. Ain't no way that's going to hit up. It did. They've never seen a mountain collapse. They've never seen tons of earth flood, and they died. Just because you've never seen it don't mean it can't happen, can it? Never thought that. As I was my first time going to the Grand Canyon. It's just a hole in the ground. Yeah, you're right. It ain't a hole in the ground. It's a big hole in the ground. I've never seen that before. I've never seen that. You just hate to, you think you've seen it all. This guy said, we've seen everything. You're going before the king of terrors because of your own fault. Job, you're just a bad man, and you were just hiding it from everybody. All right. Any comments? I've done a lot of talking. We'll stop there, brother. At the king of terrors, we'll stop there in verse number 14, chapter 18, and we'll pick up there next week. Now, if you're going to come to any night, if you're going to listen in, next week is the big one. 18 and 19, he's like, all of a sudden, he gets, if you that word epiphany, I'd learned out Aaron had a spelling word one time. I like that word, an epiphany. You know, remember the old Ford slogan? You know, Ford's got a slogan, right? Remember the old Ford, there's a light bulb? A better way? Oh, I love slogans through the years. They're wonderful. God bless. Stand, we'll have a word of prayer and be dismissed. God bless you. Bless you, sister. Good to see you. Both of you, sister. God bless you. Lord, we'll see you tomorrow night. Have a good evening.